The clock reads 3:47 a.m. when a Gulfstream G650 rests quietly on an isolated runway near Houston. Darkness fills the cabin as the engines fall silent after landing. A well-dressed man glances at his timepiece, completely unaware that 17 federal operatives have already surrounded his aircraft. This moment marks no ordinary checkpoint. Months of careful planning have led to this precise instant. In a government facility in Washington, a monitor displays 3 critical words that will alter the course of events. Execute Operation Condor. Armored trucks immediately seal off the runway from both directions. Tactical agents advance toward the private jet without making a sound. No room exists for bargaining, fleeing, or advance notice. The events about to unfold will create tremors throughout America's political corridors. A current member of the United States Senate will soon be removed from his luxury plane wearing restraints. Federal operatives will uncover $20 million in physical currency, secure communication systems linked to one of the hemisphere's most ruthless criminal organizations, and proof of corruption so extensive it could reveal an underground system operating within congressional walls. This recounts how federal investigators dismantled a figure who considered himself immune to consequences. The probe did not originate in political circles. 6 months prior, along the Texas border in a modest municipality, a standard vehicle inspection revealed something nobody anticipated. A truck operator, displaying clear signs of anxiety despite the evening's cool temperature, presented paperwork that contradicted his actual freight. Opening the trailer's doors, agents discovered 300 kilograms of illegal processed materials concealed under boxes labeled as industrial machinery. The driver provided information within hours. He disclosed a name, not belonging to a cartel leader or trafficking coordinator, but to a logistics firm based in San Antonio. This seemingly ordinary business proved to be an entrance into a far more extensive operation. Federal task forces spent weeks pursuing leads. They monitored cargo movements, captured electronic conversations, and charted a supply chain extending from border regions throughout major metropolitan areas in the Midwest. One particular element transformed the entire investigation. A wire transfer originating from a Caribbean offshore account appeared in the financial history of a front company. This entity had contributed funds to political campaigns. One identity surfaced repeatedly: Senator Marcus Delworth. Initially, investigators viewed the link as purely circumstantial. Delworth represented a distinguished legislator with 22 years of Senate service. He controlled influential committees, participated in national security discussions, and maintained a reputation for aggressive opposition to criminal syndicates. The notion of his involvement with cartel activities appeared beyond belief. Yet the documentation told a different story. Throughout subsequent weeks, agents constructed a case exposing a hidden existence beneath his public authority. Delworth had exploited his governmental position to shape border protection policies, redirect law enforcement assets, and keep specific transportation corridors free from official scrutiny. Rather than combating cartels, he collaborating with them. As investigators dug deeper, the situation grew increasingly troubling. Delworth had developed connections with Jalisco New Generation cartel members spanning nearly 10 years. His contribution wasn't physical force or operational planning, it was influence. He possessed the ability to make communications others couldn't. He could postpone legislative measures, transfer personnel assignments, and guarantee certain inquiries remained unasked. As compensation, millions flowed into accounts under his control through intricate offshore structures and property acquisitions. High-end estates in Arizona, a vessel documented in Panama, a California vineyard that never yielded any wine production. The specialized unit handling the case maintained absolute confidentiality. Only select senior authorities knew the target's identity. Information leakage posed excessive danger. Delworth maintained relationships throughout the system. A single misstep could destroy the entire effort. For months, observation teams documented his activities. They recorded his telephone communications, professional engagements, and movement schedules. They observed him displaying charm before cameras and greeting voters, understanding each action masked his true nature. What agents required was a vulnerable moment, an opportunity to move without alerting their target. That chance emerged during a frigid January evening when Delworth arranged an unscheduled departure to Mexico City aboard his private aircraft. The journey appeared on no official itinerary. No staff accompanied him, no protective personnel, only the senator, his pilot, and a long-time co-pilot. The trip's purpose remained ambiguous, but the haste was unmistakable. Intelligence indicated Delworth intended to conference with senior cartel officials. Information suggested a fresh arrangement under negotiation that would extend operations toward the eastern coastline. Allowing this meeting meant the network would strengthen and become more difficult to disrupt. The choice was clear. The aircraft must not depart United States territory. At 2 o'clock in the morning, a combined task force gathered at a coordination point 12 miles from the private airfield. FBI personnel, DEA specialists, and members of an elite tactical squad reviewed their strategy one last time. The approach demanded speed and overwhelming force. 2 reinforced vehicles would obstruct the runway. Aerial surveillance would come from a helicopter. Ground units would move in on foot, eliminating any escape possibility. Failure was unacceptable. Delworth possessed relationships reaching into every agency. A single communication from him could jeopardize the operation. Surprise represented their greatest advantage. At 3:15, the convoy departed. Empty roads stretched before them. All lighting remained extinguished. Engine sounds provided the only noise penetrating the darkness. By 3:40, agents occupied their designated positions. The jet sat at the runway's distant end, reflecting light from remote floodlights. From afar, it resembled any luxury aircraft. Upon closer examination, it became a vault containing secrets. The command arrived at 3:47. Move. Reinforced vehicles accelerated forward, rubber screaming against pavement. The helicopter descended rapidly, its beams slicing through darkness. Agents rushed toward the plane, armed and shouting orders. Inside the cabin, panic took hold. The pilot noticed the approaching lights first and became paralyzed. The co-pilot attempted reaching for communication equipment, but was commanded to halt before contact. Federal agents encircled the aircraft within moments. Delworth occupied a seat toward the cabin's rear when agents breached the entrance. According to testimony, he remained motionless initially. He merely watched agents flooding the narrow aisle, his expression displaying shock. When agents confronted him, he attempted speaking. He referenced his governmental role, his legal protections, his influential contacts. None of these mattered. Restraints secured his wrists, and he was led from the aircraft without struggle. What agents discovered aboard the jet validated every suspicion they held. Hidden beneath floor panels in the cargo section, wrapped in black plastic and secured with heavy-duty tape, sat currency stacks totaling slightly above $20 million. The bills were organized by value, packaged in vacuum-sealed bundles, engineered to evade scent detection methods. From a secured briefcase retrieved from the cabin, investigators pulled encrypted communication equipment, disposable cellular devices, and a journal containing handwritten cipher codes and geographic coordinates. Several notations corresponded with identified cartel transfer locations near the border. Additional entries indicated sites that had never surfaced in prior investigations. The most incriminating evidence came from a USB storage device holding financial documentation that tracked payments spanning multiple continents. These files exposed an elaborate money-cleaning system utilizing property transactions, phantom corporations, and digital currency platforms to channel cartel earnings into lawful commerce. Delworth hadn't merely accepted illegal payments, he had engineered one of America's most intricate criminal financial structures ever discovered. A sitting senator's detention created immediate turbulence across Washington. News of the operation reached media outlets within hours. Coverage consumed every broadcasting network. Political associates created distance. Critics pressed for explanations. Citizens demanded understanding of how someone wielding such authority could conceal such profound corruption for extended periods. Consequences materialized rapidly. Delworth was transferred to a federal confinement center, where he remained without bond options while awaiting legal proceedings. Government prosecutors revealed an extensive array of accusations: conspiracy involving controlled substance distribution, financial laundering, justice obstruction, and Foreign Corrupt Practices Act violations. Full conviction on these charges could result in imprisonment exceeding 50 years. However, the investigation extended beyond his detention. Following days witnessed federal agents implementing search authorizations at over 12 locations tied to Delworth's operation. Residences, business centers, storage units, and private holdings faced simultaneous raids throughout Texas, Arizona, California, and Washington. The discoveries proved astounding. Agents retrieved an extra $8 million in physical currency, numerous luxury automobiles, and a weapons collection including rifles, pistols, and protective armor. Papers extracted from a vault at one property disclosed names of at least 14 additional persons suspected of conspiracy participation. Some identities belonged to entrepreneurs and property investors. Others represented lower-tier operatives managing logistics and transport. But certain names disturbed the investigative unit. They belonged to additional public servants, individuals still maintaining positions of responsibility within federal and state administrations. Detentions continue materializing. Multiple individuals have already entered custody. Others have disappeared, their current locations remaining unknown. Arrest documents have been distributed. Border notification systems have been triggered. The pursuit remains active. For communities impacted by narcotics flowing through Delworth's channels, the destruction proves immeasurable. Thousands of kilograms of illegal substances passed through routes he safeguarded. Families suffered devastation. Human lives were extinguished. The societal toll of his treachery will require years to comprehend fully. Throughout federal organizations, the case has triggered comprehensive internal assessments. How did someone maintaining such profound connections to criminal enterprises ascend so high without recognition? Which warning indicators were overlooked? Who else might be operating undetected? Fresh procedures are being established. Verification processes are being reinforced. Monitoring of communications has expanded. The objective stands clear. This cannot recur. Marcus Delworth's trial promises to become among the most substantial corruption proceedings in contemporary American records. Government prosecutors have formed a specialist team solely for managing the financial evidence's complexity. Legal representatives have already indicated challenges to the surveillance legitimacy that produced his arrest. Legal analysts forecast proceedings lasting months, potentially longer. Every paper, every transaction, every encoded communication will face examination and argument. The courtroom will transform into a confrontation zone where his criminal activity's complete magnitude becomes exposed for national observation. Yet beyond legal disputes, a broader question persists. How many others resembling Delworth operate within the system? How many authority-holding individuals have arranged discrete agreements with dangerous entities? How many choices affecting national protection have been swayed by concealed allegiances? One individual's detention won't resolve these questions, but it marks a starting point. For agents who carried out the operation, a subdued sense of achievement combines with vigilance. They recognize that breaking down a network of this magnitude requires years, not weeks. They understand that removing one leader means others wait to assume control. Yet they also comprehend the message delivered. Nobody exists beyond justice's reach. Not a smuggler, not a distributor, not even a senator. As Delworth remains in federal detention, awaiting judicial proceedings, the investigation he desperately tried avoiding continues broadening. Each document produces another identity. Each recorded conversation exposes another link. Each monetary pathway opens fresh directions. The private aircraft meant to transport him to freedom now occupies an evidence facility, representing the destruction of an elaborately built deception. $20 million in currency couldn't rescue him. 22 years of Senate service couldn't shield him. Ultimately, the identical system he attempted corrupting became the system that defeated him. This demonstrates how power structures collapse, not through violent explosions, but through metal restraints. Not with grand declarations, but through profound silence. Not with successful escape, but with a runway obstructed by military-grade vehicles and agents who decline to ignore wrongdoing. If you maintain conviction that responsibility holds significance, that no position should provide exemption, and that truth merits revelation, then distribute this account. Inform others about the runway events, and recognize that sometimes justice manifests not during daylight under brilliant illumination, but at 3 o'clock in the morning when the dishonest assume nobody observes. The investigation continues, expanding outward. Every connection traced leads to additional networks. Every account examined reveals deeper layers. What began as a routine border inspection evolved into one of the most significant political corruption cases in decades. The full story still unfolds. Federal agencies now face difficult questions about oversight and accountability. Reform discussions have begun. New safeguards are under consideration. The goal extends beyond punishing one individual. It's about preventing future betrayals at this scale. For Delworth, the luxurious lifestyle financed by criminal proceeds has ended. The properties, the yacht, the vineyard, all face government seizure. His reputation lies shattered. His legacy transforms from respected lawmaker to cautionary tale about unchecked power and moral compromise. The runway where his aircraft was stopped symbolizes more than one arrest. It represents a line drawn by those committed to preserving institutional integrity. It demonstrates that elaborate schemes eventually crumble. It proves that patient investigation and determined enforcement can penetrate even the most sophisticated criminal operations. As this case proceeds through the judicial system, it serves as a reminder. In a nation governed by law, nobody stands truly untouchable. The higher the position, the greater the responsibility, and the harder the fall when that trust is violated.